In this video, we're going to talk about why regulating your nervous system is absolutely vital to trading consistency and profitability. And so by the end of this video, you're going to actually understand what the nervous system is, okay? And how it's affecting your trading, all of your decisions. And if you don't fix this issue, okay, you're never going to become profitable as a trader. And I'm sorry to tell you, that's just the way it is. Okay, so make sure you watch this to the end, because by the end of this video, you're going to actually understand why this thing is working against you, how it's shaping and repeating all of your bad decisions that you keep repeating every week and you don't know why. And once you understand this, then you can actually locate and pinpoint the issue that's holding you back. And then from there, you can just level up quick, okay? Once you can fix the problem, you don't know, if you don't know what the problem is or what to fix, then it's going to be difficult. So make sure you watch this to the end, okay? If you're new to the channel, go ahead, like and subscribe. Drop your comments below. Let me know what you're struggling with, okay? So let's get started. So first of all, if you have problems with overtrading, or you're always micromanaging your trades, so you keep moving your stop losses, you keep checking the charts, okay, this one's a big one. Consistently being obsessed with the chart, so you're not able to detach, okay, so you keep peeking and looking at every single movement, okay, or you hesitate to get into a trade, or you're impatient, or you're always FOMOing, so you FOMO, okay, because you fear missing out on the trade. Any of these behaviors, these patterns, can be fixed. You see, once you understand that all of these negative patterns are being repeated and are coming from your nervous system, and it's just repeating an old negative pattern that you have developed subconsciously from a young age, okay, and it's been programmed into you, then once you can remove this, okay, the FOMO, the impatience, the doubt, the fear of being wrong, okay, or the need to constantly micromanage and obsess over the charts and look at everything and always be in front of the computer, okay, once you can overcome this, okay, and delete that from your trading identity, then trading becomes easy, you see, because really, it wasn't strategy that was the problem, okay? You've seen the strategy work, you've seen your mentor, you've seen whoever taught you the strategy make it work. But then when it comes to you, you can't execute. This is your problem. You can't execute, you can't stick to the plan, okay? You can't stop yourself from going on a tilt. You can't stop yourself from revenge trading, okay? That's another big one. So revenge trading as well, okay? Tilt. All of these negative patterns, these negative behaviors, right, is costing you a lot of money. And there is a fix. You can fix it, okay? So we have to understand what's causing it. And the cause is your nervous system, okay? And I'm going to explain that in this section over here. So basically, the nervous system was designed to protect you, okay? It was designed thousands of years ago to remove you from danger, okay? So when we were humans thousands of years ago, we had to live in the jungle or in nature to survive, okay? And it was real danger back then. So for example, if there was a saber-toothed tiger running at you, your nervous system would react, and you would have a proper reaction, okay? And that would get you out of the way of danger. Does that make sense? And so your primal response, okay, or your primal programming is to get you out of danger, okay? The problem is we now live in modern society, okay, where we are still wired with that primal instinct, okay? But in modern society, a lot of things are perceived as dangerous or as a threat, but in actual reality, they're not. And the same with trading. When you take a trade, you put capital and you're risking money, and then it's perceived as dangerous, okay, as risky. You see? This is why the brokers always try to remind you that trading is risky. Okay, so you have this programming drilled into you, and you're always, oh, it's risky, because they know that if they can say that and let you know enough times, you're going to react in this primal state. If your nervous system is there to protect you and keep you out of danger, right? The way it works is that it's going to create stories to suit that situation. We're reacting and we're fearful of irrelevant things, minor issues, things like we're scared of what people think of us. We're scared to speak up, okay? We're scared we can't pay our bills, or we're scared we're not going to be able to have enough food to eat, or we're scared of, our partners cheating on us, or things that are really not that important and not that real. It's just all in your head, okay? And that is where the nervous system creates these stories, okay? It tells you lies of the situation, okay? So for example, now this is an example, okay? Let's say that you are in a relationship, okay? You have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, whatever, and they go quiet for half a day. You don't know where they are. You can't find them. You're calling them and they're not answering the phone. And so your nervous system is wired to protect your ego in this case. And so it starts feeding you all kinds of possible solutions, stories as to why that is happening to protect your ego. You're not certain of the outcome or the situation. It has to tell you, it has to fill that gap. Okay, so it'll come up with stories. So it'll tell you a story like, oh, they're out cheating on you, or they're with someone else, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing something bad. That's why they're not picking up the phone. So in your mind, you're making up all of these stories that are not based on facts. It's just in your mind. Okay, and it's the same with trading. Okay, it's the same with trading. It's the same, like, say, when you revenge trade, okay, it gives you a story like, oh, okay, if you just take the next one and double up, you can make your money back quick. Okay, so that's a story that is not based on facts. Your setup might not be there. So then you start taking bad trades, you revenge trade, you take bad setups, okay? Or FOMO. FOMO is the fear of missing out. So your nervous system is coming from lack, okay? And it's telling you not to miss this trade because there's no more later. You see, so that is also a negative programming that you've had from a young age, and that is going to affect your trades. That's always going to make you FOMO, okay? Or if you hesitate, right? You hesitate to take a trade because you were coming out of a loss from yesterday, and so you have that emotional residue stuck with you, and your nervous system is saying, don't do this again because we just had a loss. Does that make sense? And that is causing you to shake and freeze and overanalyze and all of these things, where the actual fact is that today's trade is not the same as yesterday's trade. It will never be the same. You don't control the outcome, you see? And so that's how the nervous system plays up in trading, okay? And it's like going back to the partner situation where your partner disappears for half a day, you're calling and it's coming up with all these stories and saying all these bad things, where in actual fact, the reality was your partner was asleep. See, there was nothing bad happening. Your nervous system equated silence with danger. Do you see? And it's like people that overtrade, your nervous system equates no action with like no work, like unproductive. Where in trading, you have to have no action. The less you do, the more you make, right? It's this wiring in your nervous system that is going to tell you to trade more. More trades equals more money, right? But then you start forcing trades and you start making things up and you start seeing things that aren't there, because it's your nervous system is trying to course correct and fix your ego and protect your ego, okay? Because for whatever reason, you think logically, you've been told that more is more, okay? And in trading, I'm sorry to tell you, it's not the case. It's less is more. The nervous system lives over here. So let's just say this is your brain, okay? The nervous system lives in the amygdala, okay? And so your brain has two parts to it for making decisions, for decision making. It has the amygdala and it has the prefrontal cortex, okay? The nervous system lives over here in the amygdala. And what that means is basically that's your lizard brain. That's your reactive brain, okay? That is the brain that is reacting to whatever situation automatically, 80%, 90% of the time, okay? That's what gets you to wake up and run. You know, if you're camping in the jungle and then a bear is outside or coming to, you know, eat you or whatever at night, you wake up and you run. You wake up and you go climb a tree without thinking about it. Okay, that is the amygdala. And it's doing its job there, right? Because it's protecting you and your ego. Okay, it's keeping you alive. That is what it's for. Okay, but then there's another part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex, which is about 10% of your decision making, okay? The prefrontal cortex only has enough juice in it per day to make about 10% of your decisions. And those decisions are what we call high quality decisions. It's your CEO brain, okay? This is where rational thinking comes from, okay? This is where tough decisions are made properly, okay? This is where clarity and clear thinking lives, okay? That's the prefrontal cortex. Now, the thing is, for you to take one trade, okay, that is considered a high quality decision. If you want to take an A+ setup properly, that is a high quality decision and plan that you have to execute. And you're going to use most of that juice for that one trade, okay? Once you take that trade, okay, all sorts of things are happening now, okay? The market's moving, it's playing with your mind, it's playing with your emotions, and then you start getting exhausted, okay? That juice starts getting drained, okay? And then eventually you've used up all that juice for that one trade, okay? You're left with the amygdala juice, and that takes over. And that is where your decisions are overridden with the nervous system. And then you repeat the loop and you start making all your bad decisions again. You start wanting to feel certain with your trade, so you keep obsessing over the chart, or you start FOMOing, or you start revenge trading. So if you took a loss, then you revenge trade. That is all reacting from your amygdala or your nervous system, okay? So the nervous system basically is designed to react on fear, okay? Fear is the trigger of your nervous system, okay? Fear of a bad event, fear of something damaging your ego, okay? So what fear actually means is FEAR is false evidence appearing real, okay? False evidence appearing real is what fear really is. So you're making decisions based on false evidence, not facts, right? That's why the prefrontal cortex, right, is used to make decisions based on the facts. Rational thinking, that's your CEO brain, okay? What's in front of you. So in trading, you're using your prefrontal cortex to make decisions based on what you're seeing in front of you, the facts there and then, okay? Not what you think is going to happen, or what you are hoping to happen, or what you think could go wrong, or how much money you could make, or what bills you can pay with this trade. Like, those things are not relevant. Those are all amygdala, lizard brain thinking, okay? So once you understand that, okay, we have to regulate the nervous system, because basically every time the situation arises, it triggers that nervous system, that particular pattern. That's why you keep repeating the same mistakes every week, because it's not regulated, okay? So you have to regulate, okay? And you regulate the nervous system by clearing it out, okay? Deleting all of the negative emotions and the negative patterns. And this is what we do with my students in the course, okay? We have modules and all of these sessions to go in and delete FOMO, revenge trading, tilt, over leveraging, overconfidence, greed, imposter syndrome, all of these things that are going to get triggered during your trading sessions, right? You see, like, you could be so disciplined, you could wake up early, you could go for a run, you can go for the gym, you can eat clean and do all of those good things that you should do, okay? And still have an unregulated nervous system dealing with old past trauma, old patterns. And then when you show up to the charts, you crumble, you just collapse, okay? It doesn't matter how disciplined you are. You cannot override discipline with unregulated nervous system. So you have to clear out all of those blocks and fix that nervous system. You have to systematically, over time, right, remove those blocks. And you have to have a system. Every successful trader that I know has a system to manage their emotions and their negative blocks, okay? So that's what you need. You have to have a system that works, okay, and apply it religiously and work on yourself and remove. You have to know what you're removing. So if you're always feeling revengeful, or you're trying to get back at the market, you have to clock it and remove that emotion. So over time, it just dissipates. You release that negative energy back away from you, Because what's happening is the energy is trapped in you, okay? And it's this trapped emotional energy that keeps replaying and getting triggered. So you have to delete that, okay? Once you do that, okay, then once you regulate your nervous system, right, the next thing you have to do is install your new identity, the new trading identity, the person that you are becoming with positive programming. So you have to reprogram the subconscious mind in the correct way so that it can perform, so that your new identity, your new actions become automatic. So you are a patient trader. You don't overtrade. You don't mind going days without trading. You can wait for your setup. You don't always need to be in the market, right? That is what a profitable trader does, okay? And once you can become profitable, you will always be profitable. It's not a hit and miss, because once you experience profitability for a good amount of time, okay, it's like riding a bike. Now you know what it feels like. Now you know what it's like to be profitable. You cannot unlearn it. So then you'll always be profitable. But the reason you can't be it, because you've never been it, because you've been stuck in that negative loop, right? In your negative loop, which reinforces your old identity of like, oh, trading is difficult. I'm an idiot. I'm always messing up. I'm always doing something bad. I'm always revenge trading. I'm always in a FOMO. I can't control myself. That's your old story. You see, that was 2025. This is 2026. We need to get rid of that old story, kill the ego, and install this new identity by regulating your nervous system and reprogramming yourself. Okay, that's what you have to do. It's not learning more strategy, I guarantee you. Okay, you could learn a new strategy and try to apply it, okay, with your old programming, with your old nervous system, and you will still be impatient. You won't be able to wait for the setup, okay? Or once you take a win, you'll want to do it again. You'll want to repeat, okay? And then you end up giving more money back to the market. You can't hold on to your profits. So you have to understand that your nervous system is what is lying to you. And because it lies to you, you start to cope, right? You start to make irrational decisions. You're thinking with your lizard brain, okay? So you're coping to whatever perceived threat where there actually is nothing, okay? There is no threat. There is nothing dangerous. You are safe. You have to understand you are safe, okay? It's all in your head. And so you start to cope. And when you start to cope, you break your rules, okay? And you'll be like, oh, well, maybe I could just get away with this entry for this time. Okay, maybe I can just take one more trade just for today, just to fix that. You see, you start to break your rules and you start to cope, okay? And that's not a good place to be trading from. You got to be trading from your system, from your process, from your rules. You have to have a plan, okay? And you can only stick to the plan by regulating the nervous system and installing the new positive programming, the new subconscious program, okay? Your new trading identity. That's how it's going to work, okay? So I hope that was clear and it made sense to you, okay? It took me a long time to figure this out, but once I was able to do this, I mean, in the last 90 days alone, I've made over $35,000 in trading. And that's been more than I've ever made in trading in other years, okay? All my other years prior, okay, have been negative, okay? Because I was operating from that broken nervous system, the old operating system, okay? And once I figured it out and I changed that, I deleted the old identity and installed the new, okay? Over time, that's where you create the space for the new, and it has to reality has to align with it, okay? So that's what you have to understand. You need to do this, okay? Otherwise, it's always going to be difficult. You're never going to be in alignment. You have to get into alignment. Everything has to flow, not just the market structure, but internally has to flow. That's the secret. That's the secret, basically, okay? It doesn't have to be difficult. That's all it takes. And then once you are all good there, everything becomes easy. It becomes automatic, okay? So if this video resonated with you, then give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you want to work on yourself more and go deeper, then check out the first link in the description. And until the next video, you're on your own. Take care now. Goodbye.